So, Five Nights at Freddy's is based on the famous video game franchise and tells the story about Mike, a deeply disturbed security guard who struggles to look after his little sister, Abby. He gets a job working nights at an old abandoned family diner filled with animatronic mascots. But then he learns that these mascots just might be alive. Now, because the game's premise is so simple, I'm impressed with how many layers they added to the hero Mike. Mike didn't really have a personality in the games, but they fixed that here by giving him so many layers. Once I had all the information I needed, they threw in some nightmare scenes. Now, we all know that nightmare scenes usually suck, they're just thrown in there for some padding, but these ones felt necessary. They added so much to this character and I really liked it. Seeing how Mike's mental health deeply affected him outside of the nightmares was just crazy to me. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I'm glad they didn't rush this setup in order to get to all of the horror scenes and just add a load of fan service. This is awesome. Not everything about Mike's life works though. As much as I liked his sister, she was a bit cliched. She's another child in a horror film who doesn't find ghosts scary. Plus, the auntie character was such a plot device. She's only put here to trigger off some events and cause some bad things to happen. Nothing more. It also didn't make sense to me that she wants to sue Mike in order to get custody over Abby, so Mike gets the job at Freddy's. He only gets that job to help his case, but working a night shift when you're looking after a little girl just won't help that, but there we go. Once we go to Freddy's, I was so impressed, man. This area looks just like the games. In fact, some images were lifted directly from the game. And it's quite creepy in areas. I like the long scenes of tension with little to no dialogue, and I especially enjoyed the lack of jump scares. The animatronics look awesome as well. These mascots are mostly brought to life by practical effects, and they look awesome here. I can imagine any fan of the franchise loving how these characters were brought to the big screen. I wasn't so keen on how it doesn't take us long to actually see them moving around, because in the games we mostly saw them stood still, and they were scary. Here, they're just moving all over the place, and I don't know, it took away the mystique way too quickly. But at least these characters were layered as well. They actually do have a soft side, and I enjoyed those elements. I honestly began kind of loving this film, but sadly, once the midpoint came, I realized that these mascots and their mythology really do complicate the experience for me. First of all, just this real quick thing. The game's most prominent feature is being stuck in a room and having to close shutter doors and conserve electricity. It was intense. But there is nothing in this film that adapts that scenario. That is insane to me, and such a missed opportunity. But forgetting the games, the mascots don't have that much to do here regardless. There's not that many scenes of them killing or chasing people, they're just kind of there. Now, I'm glad they're not just there to murder victims in horrible ways, but I still wanted way more set pieces with them. They just didn't do enough. Some scary reveals come, and how certain characters just accept these reveals so quickly felt so rushed to me. Toward the end, there are some ridiculously predictable reveals, and a lot of them are just insane. How these characters barely question these reveals was just beyond me. And even though certain things were explained, I still didn't fully understand the mythology behind the villains. But the biggest crime is that Mike is such an interesting main character, but his arc didn't come to a natural conclusion. It really bothered me, especially considering how well he was set up. So, in the end, Five Nights at Freddy's is a mixed bag. It doesn't end this Halloween with a big bang. It's not particularly scary nor fun. The villains needed a lot more depth and more set pieces, and some of the reveals should have had a lot more weight. But that doesn't mean that what we got here was bad. The main character is surprisingly strong, I cared about him, I was interested to see where this would go, and plenty of the effects were badass. Is this a better adaptation than Willy's Wonderland? Well, they both take different paths to get to the same destination, so I'm not too sure. But it is a shame that I even have to debate that. This is the official adaptation of Five Nights at Freddy's. It should be obviously better, but in my opinion, it isn't. But I still had an okay time with it. It's definitely not one of the best game adaptations out there, but nowhere near the worst either. I'm gonna give Five Nights at Freddy's a 5.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay jiggy. The badger appreciates you.